What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite truck driver, ex-truck driver in the whole wide world. It's Bitcoin Ben, here to invite you to our weekly Friday owner's call. Now, what the owner's call is it's a call that I and some of my associates actually do with our current and our prospective owners of our clubs, where we give you the information, answer the questions that you have on what's going on with your club you own right now, or what are the investment opportunities of owning a piece of the club. If you're interested in owning a share or a piece of our clubs, our resorts, our bank, our future airline we're launching, our decentralized private jet company, get on board, guys. Everyone's moving in to the decentralized economy. Join now, and at least join the owner's call. It's easy peasy. You get all the information you need. You can ask all the questions you want, and it's very simple. Give us a call or send us a text right now at 941-391-3882. It's right here. 941-391-3882. Love you guys, and I will see you guys later. Give us a call. Bye-bye.
Good morning, and welcome to the Bitcoin Thursdays with Dr. J. I just got back from El Salvador. Yes, El Salvador, the same country where you used to see headlines warning you about it. Let me tell you something. The more I go there, I've been there quite a few times now, the more I love this country. Its people, its food, its culture. When you spend a few days there, truly be there, you'll start to understand what I did and experienced. This country is not behind the world. It is far ahead of it. I remember waking up in the morning in my beautiful room, the warm sunlight over the lush green mountains. It's actually rainy season there right now. And the dense green is just almost overwhelming. It overwhelms your senses. It's so beautiful. It's like nature's heartbeat itself. I stepped out on the main road. It was busy. And the warm scent of pupusas sizzling nearby met me like an old friend. It's kind of become my tradition now. Every time I land there, I got to go eat some pupusas first. Fresh cheese, pickled cabbage, handmade corn tortillas. Actually, I learned this time you can have rice tortillas, which are just as delicious, if not more, still steaming. My dear friend Salvador had come to pick me up, and we took a drive down to a place called Bitcoin Beach, the original home of Bitcoin in El Salvador, long before President Bukele embraced Bitcoin from the government side. This existed. It's a beautiful stretch of beach, golden and wide, rocky, quite rocky, but kissed by the Pacific breeze, smells like salt and, of course, possibilities. Bitcoin Beach is where it all started. These narrow streets where you had to walk. You parked your car and walked. There were cafes. There were little shops, little stores. Every one of them accepting Bitcoin and only Bitcoin. With the backdrop of the volcanoes like sleeping giants, surrounded by the mist, ancient and strong. You just don't see the landscape. You sort of feel it. And here's Bitcoin Beach, where on the one side were these little stores selling all their wares and coffee and shops. And on the other side, towards the ocean, were these brand new constructions, these 7 and 8 story buildings coming up. I asked our friends over there, who is building this? And the gentleman who's the developer there says, these are sold out. They're opening in November. These are 1 and 2 bedroom condos right on the beach in Bitcoin Beach. And it looks gorgeous. They're going for $500,000 each. 70% early deposit. All of them are sold out. Canadians, Europeans, American expats, they're all going there. They're buying property there. And guess what? They all paid 70% down 6 months to a year back as this construction happens. And guess what? Every single one of those transactions was in Bitcoin. Every one of those apartments being sold there is 100% in Bitcoin. Now, of course, the entrepreneur who's the developer there, real entrepreneur, collected all the money in Bitcoin back 6 months to a year ago. And Bitcoin was what, $80 bucks, maybe less. He's already made over $1.5 million in pure profit, just sitting there with the deposit. Now that's the possibility. That's little Michael Saylor doing his thing right there in El Salvador. And what I like about El Salvador is that people, they're not in a hurry. They're not lost either. They greet you with genuine kindness and not some kind of a scripted smile. I've seen the kids playing soccer in the streets. I've watched young men pull out their little cell phones, not to scroll mindlessly, but to send Bitcoin payments over Lightning Network for a cold drink of coconut water on the beach. That's right, it's a little country, but the future is peer-to-peer and proudly sovereign. And that's what I liked most about El Salvador. It's a country that knows its past. It embraces this moment, and it is choosing its future. We turned around and drove back to the big city, San Salvador, the capital, where you find modernity, boutiques, cafes, malls, and yes, lots of Bitcoin ATMs. But just drive from there an hour, where we are buying the beach resort. You'll be in El Zonte, Playa El Tunco, or El Pimentel, where our beach is, where our beach resort is going to be. The surfers ride the morning swells, digital nomads sipping coffee under palm trees, and conversations range from code to sunsets. But my favorite moments came from the quietest ones, sitting with the local family for dinner, watching a soccer on the big screen, and of course, saying Buenas tardes. This is what I learned this time, saying it as if I belong there. And perhaps I do. And of course, our Bitcoin-themed hotel that we are building there, you'll be able to pay in Bitcoin, tip in Lightning, and simply bring your curiosity and enjoy a little bit of good Bitcoin education if you want, or none. Just sit back on a hammock and listen to the sea. We're building this hotel in El Salvador not as a business, but as a belief that freedom, hospitality, and innovation is something we can do together, something we can share and learn from a country that has brought Bitcoin to the forefront. So you won't just come for the beaches over there, even though they're breathtaking, not just for the food, because I tell you, those pupusas will ruin your life, but come for the feeling, a sense where time slows down, but progress speeds up, where people have suffered much and decided to do something better, not for show, but for real. And when you leave, like I did, You just won't remember the feeling, you'll miss it. When I go to this country of little El Salvador, I am actually glimpsing the future. I'm glimpsing the future because our future has always been about who controls the money. For decades, El Salvador was trapped in a financial double bind. It had no national currency of its own, so it adopted the US dollar in 2001. And yet it had no control over its own monetary policy that governed the economy itself. Imagine using a currency that is controlled by a foreign government, by a foreign central bank that prints money at will for interests that have nothing to do with you. That's not stability. It's financial colonization. And the banks, well, the bank's back home, is predatory. We saw the El Salvadorian banking system just a few years ago. 70% of the people were unbanked. That's right. No checking account, no credit card, no way to get loans. And all you had to do was pledge your future to the mafia in order to survive. And so the people relied on cash. Cash is expensive. It's dangerous to store. It's slow to move. And if you're in a rural village or a back little place in El Salvador, it's hours to get to the bank branch. The simple act of sending and receiving money is a whole day's work, if at all possible. And of course, the remittances, over $6 billion a year from El Salvadorians working in the US would go back to the families in El Salvador. But the fees, sometimes 10%, 20%, eaten up by companies like Western Unions. So you had this dollarized economy, a centralized banking system, and a population, an entire population, forced to work and live in the financial shadows. And this is where the story shifted. In 2021, President Bukele did something that no leader on this planet Earth had done. He came into power and he said, enough. He passed the Bitcoin law and recognized Bitcoin as a legal tender alongside the US dollar. And you may remember the move stunned the IMF. It triggered all sorts of outrage. Global press that delighted freedom-loving technologists everywhere, and yet they were ridiculed. And here's what they missed. It wasn't about Bitcoin. Bukele wanted to give options to his people. Suddenly, the little fruit vendor in El Zonte could receive a payment instantaneously from a tourist like me in Florida without any bank. A fisherman in La Libertad could save money in a wallet protected by exahashes, not by inflation. A farmer could accept a remittance from one of his relatives in America without losing a chunk of it to the middleman. Bitcoin became the de facto banking where no other banking really even existed. And unlike legacy banks, there was no account minimum. There was no KYC. There was no office hours, just a phone, an intent, a lightning wallet, and the freedom to transact. Was this transformation messy? Absolutely. Was it misunderstood? Yes. But is it progress? 100%. 100%. Today, over 6 million Salvadorians have access to the Chivo wallet, the government BTC platform. They still accept cash. I was able to pay in dollars. The infrastructure is laid. The point of sale systems are there. I could go to any store and pay with a Lightning wallet. And no, they did not charge 10% like our Byte Federal does. It's nonsense. They charged a few sats for that transaction. Suddenly, quietly, things are beginning to change. International companies have started to begin investing in El Salvador. Of course, we were there first. In fact, countries like Panama are starting to feel a little neglected. Till now, Panama had the most amount of investments coming into their country because they had a stable banking system. But last year, El Salvador got more foreign investments as a percentage increase than Panama. The life of Bitcoin Beach is not just a global pilgrimage for crypto entrepreneurs anymore. It is starting to become mainstream. The youth of the country are stopped fleeing. They're not dreaming of coming to New York, that Islamic Mecca that it has become. They're dreaming to build their own foundations right there at home in El Salvador. It's a great revolution because Bitcoin in El Salvador is not just about money. It's about their sovereignty. It's about decoupling from the World Bank and the IMF. It's about saying, we don't want your debt anymore. We want our future. So the government has bought Bitcoin for its own treasury. Oh, against the angst of IMF. They continue to buy. They're mining it with volcano energy. But that's not the real story. The real story, it's a barefoot child who pays for his soda with Lightning Wallet. That's the victory. It's not just about replacing the banks overnight. It's about redesigning the whole idea of money, about freedom from the ground up. And now these transactions flow at the speed of light, without borders, without gatekeepers. The El Salvadorian people are quietly learning. They're learning how to transact. They're learning how to save their money. They're learning how to build. And yes, they're learning how to dream. So the next time someone tells you that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, I'm going to ask them, have you been to El Salvador? Have you walked through the markets where store owners, all of them, accept digital payments with a smile? Where you meet a young teenager who's trying to build a Lightning app wallet instead of joining a gang? Because I have, and I'll tell you this. Banks have kept El Salvador poor, but Bitcoin is setting them free. This revolution is coming. It has already started. It is going to spread around the world. I have seen the future. It might be the smallest country in Central America, but they certainly have the biggest vision in the world. We're going to cut to a quick ad, and I'll be right back after these messages. Attention visionaries and pioneers, the future of wealth is here, and it's spelled Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Introducing the exclusive Loans for Bitcoin program at the Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, where your good credit unlocks 0% interest loans for up to 2 years, or term loans up to $250,000 spread over 7 to 12 years. Why wait? Use this capital to acquire the world's fastest appreciating asset, Bitcoin. With prices hovering around $94,000 and projections aiming much higher by the year's end, the time to act is now. Leverage isn't just for Wall Street anymore. Arbitrage the low cost of your loan against Bitcoin's explosive growth. It's smart finance for the modern investor. And privacy matters. Our no KYC Bitcoin purchase program ensures you buy and self-custody your assets in your own wallet. Your keys, your Bitcoin, your future. And as the world shifts to digital currencies, be ahead of the curve. Front-run corporations, governments, in this greatest financial revolution of our times. I'm Jay Bose, CEO of Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club. Call or text us today at 941-413-6920 and get started on that loan application. Secure your legacy. You will thank yourself tomorrow. And welcome back to Bitcoin Thursdays with Dr. J. You know, I have long believed that the most dangerous truths are not the ones that we are told to question, but the ones we don't think to question at all. Now, on my flight back home from El Salvador, I was inspired. I was inspired to think about the nature of time itself. And in the context of that, what is an interest rate? Because I just talked to my colleagues there from whom we have purchased the El Salvadorian credit union, the bank. And I was, while the rest of the plane was sleeping, it was an overnight flight. There was that one light on, and that was mine. And I was making my little notes. And I started thinking, I was just getting this download. What is interest rate? What is a rate? Rate is a change of value over time. And what came to me was, what is it if there is no time? Is there no interest rate? You see, interest rate has been the silent engineer of our entire financial system. Every interest rate, every mortgage, every bond coupon, every debt is not merely a promise of money. Over time, I'm going to pay you something. It's a bet against time. When you say interest rate, rate is the speed of change of something. So over 5 years, I'm going to give you 10% every year. It's a rate. But what happens when time and transactions become instantaneous? When your store of value doesn't need to decay to remain liquid? You see, I'm talking about Bitcoin. Let me take you back just a moment before I get into this, my philosophical thought on interest rate and what it actually means. The financial system as we know it, the central banks, interest rates, reserve ratios. It's a whole scaffolding which is built on an assumption that money loses value over time, and that time is expensive, and that you must pay something to defer your pleasure or pay to accelerate a gain. Hence, the sacred concept of interest. Interest, quite literally, is the rate of change of value over time. Simply put, it's the price of waiting. You wait to be paid. It's a price of time. But if I can transfer value now globally, without cost, without a middleman, instantly, then what is the price of waiting? What becomes of the system where time is no longer a scarce resource? This is where exactly Bitcoin terrifies the old world. It doesn't just challenge the currency, it challenges time as a lever in finance as we know it. We are entering what I believe is the twilight of fiat. A hybrid age where legacy banks, hesitant, like lumbering woolly mammoths, are being pulled forward by the lean digital tigers. In this world, the banking institutions are bifurcating their treasuries. On the one side, you got fiat for operational liquidity. On the other side, you got the Bitcoin for strategic wealth reserve or preservation. Banks, the staunch gatekeepers of monetary power, are now starting to study the very thing that they have ridiculed all their lives. They're exploring multi-asset ledgers, Bitcoin reserves, fiat reserves, on-chain collateralization, native wallets, distributed treasury systems. They're not doing this out of excitement, mind you, but out of fear. The kind of fear that bankers only feel when something starts to finally get outside of their control. And in that environment, our bank is leading fearlessly. We are going to be that first bank that has a Bitcoin treasury in a distributed environment. So I really started to think about, what is this interest rate? Why does it matter? What happens when money moves at the speed of thought? You don't wait for 3 days for T+3 settlements. Before I even get deeper into that, stablecoins. Is it truly a Trojan horse for dollar supremacy? You know, it's often misunderstood, heralded by crypto anarchists and central bankers alike. I mean, it's weird bedfellows, don't you think? You see, stablecoins in some ways are digital spies of fiat. They infiltrate the crypto kingdom, the Bitcoin kingdom, under the guise of decentralization, while actually enhancing the hegemony, the power of the US dollar. You see USDC in your wallet, USDT. These are not necessarily enemies of the dollar, don't get me wrong. But in many ways, they are acting as proxies to the dollar, expanding dollar relevance into realms where the Fed itself has no reach. What it does is it makes the dollar programmable. It makes it liquid across the borders and useful to the unbanked. Ironically, stablecoins are giving the dollar its final golden era, one last great expansion, perhaps before the long night of decentralization takes over. Now, imagine a world that emerges out of this new banking where no one prints money, no one sets an interest rate, no bank tells you what your balance is. Instead, your money is Bitcoin. It is held in a cold wallet. You do transactions that are peer-to-peer that settle instantaneously or in seconds. Your value is stored. It is not lent out. It is not decayed. It is not leveraged. In this world that I'm painting, there are no bailouts. There are no systemic failures. There are no central banks because there are no more levers to pull. There is no interest rate because no one needs to be bribed to hold their own money in their own wallet. What exists is pure time. Time that flows linearly, a ledger that doesn't lie, a money that is incorruptible. So I'm going to go back to that question. And I know I'm getting philosophical about time, but I think more people are going to talk about this in the future. See, when I come back from El Salvador, I get good ideas. What is the interest rate? Mathematically, what is interest rate? It's delta value over delta time, a measure of how quickly you expect a value to change. That's what a rate of change means. But if the rate of change becomes irrelevant, if exchange is instant, nearly zero, what happens to the denominator? What happens to the quotient? It approaches zero. Not because value no longer exists, but because time no longer exists. In the world of Bitcoin, the natural state of money is stasis. It's status quo, not erosion. You see, the difference between dollar and Bitcoin is I put a Bitcoin, it stays 0.1 Bitcoin. It doesn't erode. its natural state is staying as it is. Whereas the dollar is like that little rock which becomes sand on the ocean. It erodes every moment. Every time you print more dollar, it erodes. It doesn't happen in Bitcoin. So we have to ask ourselves, if interest is a tool of decay and of delay, and if delay no longer exists, what do we use to allocate capital? What does this even mean? Well, the answer is reputation. It's called proof of work. Simply put, it's skin in the game. And perhaps it is programmable yield, but not based on time. It's based on your contribution to the network. You earn not because you waited for 5 years for a bond to mature. You earn because of what you built, what you mined, because you secured the system. Proof of work. That's why you earn. So the obvious question becomes, does this mean it's a death of credit? Or is it a rise of mutual value exchange? In the fiat world, the whole economy is built on credit. It's backed by debt. It's backed by a delusion, a value of illusion. But in a decentralized world, ownership precedes action. You must first have value to use value. There is no printing. There is no emergency liquidity injection. There is only what you can verify, what you can secure, and what others can accept. Yeah, it's brutal, but it's honest. And it creates a society where long-term planning replaces this short-term leverage, where trust is built through action, not just balance sheets, where time becomes personal again, measured not in interest, but what impact did you have in that time? So what about nations, you will ask? They become stewards, not sovereigns of value. They become stewards of that value. The nation is not there to impose control over you. They'll secure the energy grids, not the central banks. They'll issue tokenized land rights, not fiat decrees. They'll offer proof of citizenship, access to infrastructure, not manipulate inflation targets. All fake. It's completely fake. By the way, I heard, and not verified yet, but Panama now is going to be building something called a blockchain city, where literally every single register, every business, every piece of land, every asset that you know is going to be tokenized. And if you were to go and buy that piece of land, you would actually receive a token. So that is where the future is going. Energy grids are going to become really, really important, because energy is what this entire ecosystem is going to feed on. And whoever produces the lowest cost of energy is going to be the winner. And perhaps in the US, the dollar evolves into some form of Fed coin, a digital permission twin, which is tightly controlled. But I truly believe that nations that embrace Bitcoin early will become the global energy hubs, the financial sanctuaries, exporting stability, not debt. Florida, for instance, could run its own BTC-backed municipal bonds, tokenized land ownership, and green energy secured by hash rates. See, El Salvador is not a model just of, it came from desperation, but it is a model of acceleration. In a world where instant value doesn't destroy time, it resurrects it. It redeems it from what we have today, which is economic servitude. Our children will no longer inherit debt. They'll inherit wealth. Time is no longer going to be something that you sell, but it is something that you will invest in. Your store of value becomes your statement of intent. We are entering a world of Bitcoin where money is not fast, but it's final, where time is not being leveraged for interest rates, but it's being lived, where Bitcoin is not a currency, but it's a compass, a way to orient our civilization forward towards truth, a truthful ledger about a proof of work and owning your own value, which is freedom. So here we are, standing on the shores of a new financial era. I stood there on that beach in Bitcoin Beach as the tide came in, and it occurred to me, whether you're ready or not, the old system is a castle built on sand. The new one on blockchain, on truth. Time is running out. I would love for each one of you to visit El Salvador. It is a country where there's a promise, a hint, a glimpse of the future that I have seen. It is a story where truth is going to be told. It's a tiny country, but it is doing things and showing things that the world can embrace. And I think in the United States, the states are sovereign. States that are now accepting Bitcoin. I believe Texas just passed that law last week to keep Bitcoin as a treasury reserve, as President Trump continues to bring freedom into the world, bring peace into this world. As more countries choose peace over war, chose sovereignty over serfdom, I believe the rise of Bitcoin will continue. And I will close out on letting you guys know that our clubs are doing an amazing job. I just got an update from our owners and operators of our various clubs. It is so inspiring. It is so inspiring to see Nashville is hosting an event for 30,000 people. It is so inspiring to see Las Vegas, our club there. Amazing events are being planned out every single day of the week. It's amazing to see our Boston office setting up the audiovisual room, which is being built brick by brick. It is amazing to see our Dallas office, which already has 3 or 4 corporate members who have already signed up. It's amazing to see St. Louis making progress. It's amazing to see Sarasota, the place where it all started, on full throttle. All our programs are doing well. We are getting home to HODL loans approved. Millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin is being purchased. Millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin mining is being invested into around the world. Millions of dollars worth of loans are being taken to buy Bitcoin for our members so that they can secure their financial future, their legacy, their freedom, their sovereignty. The Bitcoin Ben clubs, and now the new ones, Ben has been working around the clock from place to place. I hardly get to seeing this man, but he's making the Mar-a-Lago club come alive. He's looking at clubs in Washington, D.C. He's looking at clubs in Indian Wells. He's looking at clubs in Arizona. We are literally spreading like wildfire. We're spreading the word of Bitcoin. We're educating people, one member at a time. Bring in your friends. Bring in your relatives. Bring them to the clubs. Let them see and hear from some of our members about what Bitcoin is doing for them, how it is changing their lives, how it is changing their fortunes, how it's changing their future, and how it's changing the way they see the world and the way they see money and the way they store value and the confidence that you get when you know you have Bitcoin in your cold stored wallet and no one on the planet can touch it. Not the kings, not the governments, not the tyrants, not the banks, not the IMF, not the BIS. It is yours. You worked hard for it. It's value that you keep, value that never erodes, and it's in Bitcoin. God bless you, and God bless America.
Hey, Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club members, are you ready to take your crypto game to the next level? Well, buckle up because we've got something huge for you. As a member of the Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, you're already part of the future of finance. But what if you could stack even more Bitcoin without waiting? That's right. We're talking about exclusive loans designed just for you. Through the Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, you can apply for a fast member-only loan. Use the cash to buy Bitcoin right now while the market's hot, and watch your stack grow as the revolution unfolds. It's simple. Call us, get approved, and turn that loan into Bitcoin. Pay it back on your terms while you HODL like a pro. Why wait for the moon when you can fuel the rocket yourself? This isn't just a loan, it's your ticket to owning more of the future. And because you're part of our tight-knit community, you get VIP access to rates and support outsiders can only dream of. So, what are you waiting for? Grab your phone and call or text 941-413-6920 to apply now and start stacking SATs today. The Bitcoin revolution waits for no one, especially not you. Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, where members don't just HODL, we build. See you on the blockchain.